Welcome, everybody. Our first artist tonight is Kate Farrell. She's a fine artist who creates experimental photography that includes exposing photos through the postal system and growing bioluminescent organisms such as fungus and algae to make her images. She also creates painted paper abstract collage works. So welcome, Kate. So nice to have you.
Hi, Denise. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So let's get started, and maybe you could tell us your artistic process. What's that like?
Well, I am a very process-oriented artist, really meaning that I respond a lot to the actual materials and how to make the images. I have a long history of doing cameraless photography, and so that's really using all the materials of photography, like photo paper, working in a dark room, things like that. Sometimes using film, sometimes not, but not a whole lot of camera work to create images, but just using those images in the same way, or creating those images in a way that traditional photography is not done. So an example of this that a lot of people are familiar with is the blueprints or cyanotypes.
Mm-hmm.
We often get little packages of those, those little square packages, and they're so much fun. That's called a photogram in the photo world. And that's a basis for a lot of the work that I do, but I've taken it into a few different directions.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this?
Since, I'm going to say over 20 years.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten to be a long time now, but it's a lot of fun.
Good. What motivates you to create your work?
To create the work in general, it's just a drive to do something new, to try something creative, to try to do something new and even a little original from time to time, even though I know that there's really not much original out there. But, to try to play with materials and see where they can go. For me, I like to think of photography as this medium that can be pushed in entirely different directions than what we generally think of it as. So, by using things like bioluminescent fungus or creating Polaroid prints that, aren't put through a camera at all, it's really kind of, to me, redefining photography and what it can mean to be a person who creates photographs and how you can record time and space. Mm-hmm. And from a process point of view, it has a lot of similarities with maybe printmaking or drawing even. So I just really, what motivates me, I guess, just to kind of keep making, keep trying new things, keep trying to do things that I enjoy most.
Mm-hmm. So do you have anything that influences your work?
Influences for my work. It might not show up always, but I would say, the outside world, like nature, influences my work a lot. And I would say science, both the visuals of science and then also things like epigenetics, the study of that, that fascinates me a lot. And that's really just the study of how your proteins are turned on and off. And it affects your DNA and the DNA that gets transferred on to, to your offspring, that sort of thing. I love reading about that, learning about that. And I think it's very inspiring, but also I do love the visuals of science a lot. So I find that very inspiring as well. And color, I really enjoy playing with color a lot. And that's what has brought me to doing a more recent body of work, which is painted paper collage, because the colors that I get to use there, I have a lot more, a lot of options. In photography, the color is often embedded in the structure or the materials. So for example, when I use color photographic paper, there are chemicals built into the paper of the color photograph that really determine the palette to a large degree. But with painted paper collage, I can play with all the colors I want. So it really changes it up. I'm not as limited. When I do work like the Polaroids, so this is an example, this is a very Polaroid, a palette of a Polaroid image. And you can even see this palette when you take regular photos. Sometimes there are different colors and they're a little bit, to different ends of the color range, but I'm very limited when it comes to photography, which I like that. I like that constraint, but it's really freeing to be able to mess around with that in other areas and have a little more freedom with the colors I get to use.
So your current favorite art material is?
It's a tie.
Okay.
It's a tie. It's a tie between paper, painted paper, and then the Polaroids. So the type of Instax film here, which is like a small Polaroid.
Mm-hmm.
I love this material. It's super fun. And it works really well with how I work, which is I like some things to be quick. I like some things to be slow. And this combines both of those things because when I make the prints for this, I can't see exactly what it looks like. I have to wait for it to develop.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some idea of what I'm doing, but I have to wait for it to develop. And then I really like, the way paper feels in my hands. So just working with paper and paint and moving paint across the surface, I find that really grounding and enjoyable, really satisfying to mix colors and see how it turns out. And just moving it around even is just very therapeutic.
I was not familiar with your whole process, and so I was reading about you a little bit before this interview. So I've learned a lot, and it's quite interesting when you talk about not using the camera for your photography. I thought, now how is that possible? And so you've done a great job of explaining it. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Anything
definitely.
else you'd like to share with us, or?
Thank.
Are
Say that again.
you showing anywhere now? Is your work showing? Are you showing your work anywhere now, or?
Only on Instagram primarily is where I'm showing my work currently. So if anybody who is watching wants to check out more of my work, definitely head over to @Kate Farrall on Instagram. So it's just instagram.com/Kate Farrall, and you'll find me there. I'm not in any shows currently, but I do show from time to time, and that's always a lot of fun. I think that part of the process really forces us as an artist to present our work, and put it in a frame, right? That changes the way it looks entirely when it's taken all the way to that end piece where it's really polished nicely. And I think Open Studios helps all of us to give that a whirl and try that out and play with pieces that maybe wouldn't be in a show, or maybe we're considering for a show, and to see it all the way to the end, that end result, the fully resolved piece. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to go live this weekend from 1 to 4 on Instagram. So I will be over there, mostly live for most of the time. I might take a break or two, but I'll leave love letters and breadcrumb trails for when I step out to eat lunch or take a break.
Good. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for being here and participating.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me and making this Open Studios tour happen.
Yeah. Well, it's not time to wrap up, Kate, yet. We still have a few minutes for you, Kate. So I wanted to, if anyone has any questions for Kate in the audience, feel free to put them in the chat. I was wondering if I could ask a question. I was wondering, Kate, if your photographic process or images inform your collages that you've been working on lately, besides you can use different colors.
That is a good question.
Good question.
I think the shapes and forms, definitely. I'm really into some blobby shapes and blobby goopy forms. That's really a technical term, as you know. So,
yes,
I like
blobby forms. Technical.
the blobby forms, they're there. Really completely abstract work. I mean, every once in a while I do get into doing something that's a little bit more representational, but I tend to really like chance. I like mistakes. So that definitely plays into my work. So especially in the collage work, you can see some behind me here, but some of those pieces are offcuts from working on different collages. And, offcuts are often considered to be mistakes or throwaway pieces. Just like working with film, or anything in photography, with the out-of-date film, most photographers would not want that. that would be a negative for them. For me, I love it. Most photographers in the darkroom would not want mistakes such as light leaks to happen in the darkroom. That is a major problem. But when I'm in the darkroom, I'm inviting the light leaks. I'm inviting fogging the paper. So mistakes are a big part of my process, embracing those, turning them into something that I really enjoy. They often visually are anyhow.
I like
Yeah,
that
I'm not sure if
mentality. I feel like there are so many mistakes that happen in art just naturally that artists often have to learn to go with it. But the fact that you take that even further and embrace it is really cool. There's some questions in the chat. Michelle asked,
Yeah.
for the collage, do you cut or tear the paper, and how do you shape it?
I am typically just hand cutting it. I'm not using stencils or anything like that. I do like to be able to really see my hand in the process. That's also what I like about the photo work, is that it's all analog. It's not digital. I spend a lot of time on the computer already, like probably everybody else is feeling right now. So I really enjoy being able to have a hands-on approach and do that. So I do tear the paper sometimes, and I find little pieces of paper that are just, you know, those little pieces that you think, ooh, this is kind of neat. You know, it might be like just the tear off of like a, I don't know, like a printer, an old printer, or one of those funky receipts that has the dotted edges that would roll through the printers. Yeah, so some tearing, no stencils, but mostly hand cutting, a lot of circular shapes or amorphic shapes there.
Yeah. Nisa asked in the Q&A, they said, so you love paper, I do too. What about fabric? Have you considered using the same process on fabric?
Yes, that's really funny. I love fabric a lot. In fact, I have some fabric sitting here that
Nice.
I can share with you guys. I wasn't planning to share this, but I can tell you guys more about this weekend when you tune in. Here's some of my favorite fabric right now. I'm actually hoping to make something out of this, but I've already fantasized about the offcuts and what I want to do with it for an art project.
I love the mushroom print. That's so fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. I love it. I got it at this fun store called Stitch. Anyhow, but you know, fun colors, fun prints. That's a little bit different. I mean, the fun colors, I'm always way into colors that resonate with me. They really call to me. But prints, you know, this is definitely a representational print. I have some non-representational ones also in the fabric bag, but I have a long history of really loving fabric. Yeah, I can spend a lot of time in a fabric store. So if anybody, once we get past this shelter in place scene, wants to go fabric shopping,
I would totally go fabric shopping with you. I love
yeah, that would
fabric,
be awesome.
I need to get my sewing machine.
I have lots of fabric I could turn over to you.
Oh, we should just go fabric
Denise.
shopping at Denise's house.
Yeah, okay. I'm really open to that. I love fabric and I've got lots of ideas for it. So hopefully I can incorporate some of that too.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to pass it back to Denise to introduce the next interviewer. But before we go, I mean, the next artist, but before we go, I wanted to ask if you could let everyone know where they can find you if they want to know more about you.
Yeah, thank you. I am on Instagram. So just Instagram.com/Kate Farrall. And that is KATE, F as in Frank, ARRALL. I spell my last name with 2 A's. So it's a little bit different, but if you search there and search for my name, you'll be able to find me pretty easily and you will see some really abstract work. So that's how you'll know you're in the right spot. And I will be going live on this Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 3 on Instagram. So come over, say hello, pop some questions in the chat. Let's talk about fabric. Oh, and I can show you from the Wayback Machine. I did print on fabric one time on fake fur. So if anybody wants to see that, show up this weekend and I will pull that out of the archive. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool. I'm going to hold you to that, Kate. Okay.
Okay.
Back. I feel like I'm on the news. Back to you, Denise. Okay.
Thanks so much, Kate. We'll look
Thank
for
you.
We'll look for you this weekend.